G'day, welcome. Going to be going through some more picoCTFs. Keen to get started, so I'll just jump straight into it. Today we're going to be hopefully maybe try and do 2 to 3 in the next hour and a bit. There's heaps actually. Let's just see quickly. Wow, there's so many easy ones. Then it gets to medium. Anyway, we'll work our way through it. How many are there in total? Wow, 43. Some hard ones. That's all good. We'll go through them. So there's 43. And there's 3, 6, 9, 12. Wow. Anyway, we'll try and do as many as we can. Description: can you conjure the right bytes? The program's source code can be downloaded here. Okay. Let's launch this. Okay. So looking at this challenge and what it's asking us to do, it says send me ASCII decimal 101 1751 times side by side, no space. Well, doing my research, I know that that decimal is the letter E, and if you think about it, it'd be impractical to send that 1751 times side by side, no space. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use a Python one-liner to generate the string and pipe it directly into the netcat command. So Python, so just a breakdown of the command. Python 3 calls the Python interpreter. -C is the command line flag that tells Python to execute the code provided as a string directly in the terminal rather than looking for a py file. Okay. Print, standard Python function that outputs data to the terminal. E, this represents a lowercase letter e in the challenge the server asks for. ASCII decimal 101. In the table, the decimal value 101 corresponds to the character E times 1751. In Python, when you multiply a string by a number, it performs string repetition. It creates a single string consisting of the character E repeated 1751 times. There we go, we got the flag. Okay, let's go. Printer shares challenge. Actually, before we do that, I'll just create some notes. Python one-liners. The C flag allows executing code directly in the terminal. Character times n generates a string of length n instantly. ASCII mapping, character E is equivalent to decimal 101 or hex 65. Netcat, known as the Swiss Army knife of networking, used to establish raw TCP/UDP connections to remote hosts and ports, essential for interacting with CTF service instances. Commands with pipes must be run from the main shell prompt. Running them inside an active netcat session sends the command as literal text rather than executing it. Perfect. Okay. Oops, someone accidentally sent an important file to a network printer. Can you retrieve it from the print server? Additional details will be available after launching your challenge instance. So after some research, I started to look at the hints because I could not figure out how to get this going. But SMB, which stands for Server Message Block. So it says knowing how Server Message Block protocol works would be helpful. And smbclient and smbutil are good tools. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. That was a bit tricky, so I had to use a bit of knowledge of SMBs and printers and sharing to figure that one out, but that was good. That was a good challenge, actually. Nice. Okay, so we've got the notes for SMB printer shares challenge summary. So the first thing is the core concept, SMB protocol. Server message block is used for sharing files and printers on a network. Why netcat failed? Well, it failed because netcat sends raw bytes, but SMB requires a complex handshake protocol that NC doesn't speak. The nudge, some servers are passive and won't send data until you send specific requests or a new line enter. Discovery, enumeration, port scanning, use NC-VC host port to check if the service is alive. So that's what we did at the start of that challenge. Then we listing shares, we used smbclient-l with the host, and then P for port, and then end, which would mean no password, to see available folders and printers, which is here as well at the bottom. And then access and retrieval, SMB client, host, share name, port, and internal commands. So that's how we get into the actual connect to the actual server. And then internal commands, so you have list files in the share, get file name, download the file to our local machine, and then reading the flag once downloaded and exited, you can use cat file name. Ping-cmd, okay, that sounds fun. Let's try this one. Can you make the server reveal its secrets? It seems to be able to ping Google DNS, but what happens if you get a little creative with your input? It is available once you launch your challenge instance. Okay. Now we're going to try the same thing, but with the separator and the list command. Let's try that. Interesting. So the server first executed the ping. Because of the separator, it then executed the list command. So then we found a flag.txt. So now what we need to do is we do 8.8.8 followed by semicolon list. But now instead of list, let's do cat and flag.txt. Why this works, the server thinks it's just running a ping, but you've injected a second command that developers didn't intend for you to run. This is common flaw in web applications that pass user input directly into a system shell. There we go. We've got the flag. I think that was a pretty straightforward sort of CTF, but it was still good because it's one of the most common vulnerabilities, but in a basic form. Send me ASCII decimal 101, 101, 101 side by side, no space. Okay. I guess that's a good one to finish off. I guess there you go. So the good thing about if I'd have done this challenge first before the other one, I would have been confused. But I guess that's the good thing about doing CTFs is that we'll learn, even if they're simpler, we can learn and you can recognize patterns in the future. Boom. That was a good one. Only 76% liked as well, so no wonder. Yeah, nah, we'll call that for today. I don't need to create notes for this one. I think that should be, it's good. We completed 4. Pretty cool. Alrighty, thank you very much. I'll see you next time.